Hey, everybody. It's me. I'm back for another quarterly life update. As I record this, it is about to be July 4th, very, very soon, couple days. And a lot has happened, of course, in the last 3 months. A lot of different things, even up to like the last 24 hours, some decisions that I've made. But I'll get to those later when I get into my personal stuff. I'm first going to talk about some places that I've been on trips and things that are going on with my work life and just what I've been up to. So let's get to it. As a summary, some of the things that have happened with my business or in my business life, my writing and voiceover life. So I've done a volunteer project where I worked with an organization in Oakland, California. They're called the Grown Woman Dance Collective. So check them out. It's women that are retired professional dancers from the likes of, the Alvin Ailey and all those other schools and reviews. And it's interesting, like the things that they do, even though I'm not a professional dancer, in my mind I am, and I really identify with that organization. And so I linked up with this site called Catch a Fire actually last year and started doing some free, volunteer projects in order to boost some things for my work portfolio. And I decided that I would do that again this year. So yes, Grown Woman Dance Collective just made them a one sheet that just talks about their organization and what they do and who they serve. So check them out. I'm still freelancing with the UX Content Collective, and I completed their semi-new course called Brand Voice Lab. And I'm working on the accessibility course right now. Very interesting. I may talk about that a little bit later. I actually left my job at Comcast at the end of April. Actually, my last day of work was exactly my 1-year anniversary from my last day of work at Nokia. And so very surreal, full circle moment, but I was being, overworked and everything. And people were nice, but I had to move on. So I moved on to another company called Cbs Health. If you're in America, you might know CVS. And I don't think they're global, but they are like one of the top 10 corporate healthcare companies in this country. And I also secured a new client with my voiceover work. There's a agency called Current Health, and they're also in the healthcare space. And I've enjoyed working with them so far. It's been like a little bit over a month. And so I don't, work for them. I'm a freelancer. I don't work for them full time, but I always like to be doing some kind of agency or other organizational work that's not tied to my current job. And I'm still a volunteer as a CASA, which is a court-appointed special advocate. I've talked about that in previous updates, but in case you don't know or don't remember, doing that with my local court system, working with foster children in the area. So doing a lot of different things there. And I want to, throw in this little thing. I don't really put commercials in here much anymore, but if you ever read blogs on Medium, I would encourage you to find me there, Dariella Nieves. There's only one of me, and follow me, because I used to be a part of the partner program there. And then I think maybe 6-8 months ago, something like that, they changed it to where you have to have at least 100 followers in order to make any money off of your blogs. So I think I might have 5 or 6 followers. And yeah, that's on me for not doing a good job when I first started the blog years ago, but I'm getting back into it now. I've written a couple of things there recently. You can check those out. But yeah, medium.com is the blog. Find me and follow me. Now, back to CASA for a second. I have mixed feelings about, volunteering there, just because I'm doing a lot less than I thought that I would be able to do when it comes to, helping the youth. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of the big brother, big sister element where I could mentor these youth, maybe take them somewhere, we could do activities together, like not kidnap them and take them far away, but just, short trips around town. I mean, they're, going with caseworkers, social workers, whatever. But for whatever reason, where I work, my volunteer program for CASA does not allow us to transport individuals. And sometimes I just really wonder, if I'm really making a difference. I feel like what I'm doing is I'm observing things, I'm talking to the people involved, and I'm reporting it. But is it really helping anything? I just don't know. And it's been about a year now that I've been doing it. And when you start off, they ask you for a 1-year commitment. My particular case that I'm working with right now won't talk much about the person that I'm working with, but that person had a court hearing earlier this week. I'm recording on a Saturday, and this happened on the past Monday, so almost a week ago. And that person, even though we thought that, reunification with this child's mother is the goal, it's just not happening yet. And the judge, said, when you come back, we're really going to do it next time. But that next court date isn't for another 6 months. So I don't really know if I could or should hold on for 6 months. I want to see the outcome, even though I won't really ever know the full outcome until the child is grown. I won't know. But I'm just kind of having some mixed feelings about whether to let this go now or try to wait it out until that court hearing in December, which is 6 months from now. And it's a lot. There's so much more I could say, except that, it's supposed to be confidential. So that's where I got to stop it at. I will be talking to my cousin-in-law, who's a social worker, and maybe she can help inform my decision a little bit more with knowledge that she has. Back to CVS again. The work that I'm doing, my title matches what I'm supposed to be doing, but the actuality of what I'm doing, I feel like I'm really, really, really underutilized. And there's so many more leadership, more focused, forward things that I want to do, but that's not a part of my role. And I talked to my recruiter about this, who placed me there. And, with big tech doing massive layoffs and changing their policies about remote work, and, there's signs of the recession starting, the job market is really shifting. So I don't want to mess around with something that's decent, but at the same time, I know that this ain't it. And it's a 6-month contract, could very well be extended, but nothing is promised. Everything is at will. So I don't know. Now, on the bright side, I can put some of these foundations that I'm learning in this accessibility course that I mentioned, and use those right away, because CVS is very heavy on accessibility. Like, they actually I'm in a design organization. I'm a content strategist there, do a lot of content design work, UX writing. Those terms are interchangeable for the purposes of what I'm describing here. But the experienced designers, which could be UI designers or visual designers, interaction designers, UX designers, whatever you want to call them, they also have another category that they call accessibility designers. And they do accessibility annotations and things like that. If you don't know what accessibility is, in a nutshell, it's basically, for the context of what I'm talking about, it is ensuring that people can use our products, the same way that anyone else can use them that is, differently abled. So for me, I can walk, talk, speak, see, hear. I have all my senses, all my faculties. I'm not disabled in any way, in any sense of the word. But obviously, not everyone is like that. Everyone has different, maybe they have cognitive impairments, maybe they have sight impairments, maybe they have a combination of things going on. But they need to be able to use devices, phones, websites, whatever, just as easily as I can use them, even if they're using a screen reader or some other assistive device. And what happened was, a few months back, apparently the Department of Justice fined CVS for some accessibility violations on their website. And so, yeah, they take it seriously, as they should. I am just now starting to get into some accessibility related voiceover stuff in the form of audio descriptions, where, it's not exactly the same as closed captioning. Although if you think of closed captioning, you sort of get the idea of it, except that closed captioning is that the words are appearing, on the screen so you can read them. But with audio descriptions, someone like me is reading it for you. So I'm dipping my toe in that new genre, but I'm still pretty focused on, the other video narrations and e-learning narrations that I've been doing, for the past, the last 5 years now. I started in 2017. Okay. So the next thing I'll talk about is some personal stuff, not about dating, because I'm still not dating. My last as of the, posting of this particular podcast, the most recent Medium article that I wrote was about 7 uncanny ways that, job interviewing, job hunting is just like dating. And coming out of job interviews and stuff that I was doing this spring, yeah, I'm not, no, I'm not doing that. But other personal stuff. So first of all, very, very proud of this accomplishment. Renovated my kitchen finally. I've been living in this house for 4 years, and most of the rest of the house was remodeled except for this kitchen. And the kitchen, this house was built in 99, and the kitchen totally looked like it. I mean, when they ripped up the floor, like the floor looked like it was from my childhood, like it was from 1981 or something. Like it looked crazy, even though the house was built in 99. Like that's how old this joint was. Even though there was laminate floor covering the original floor, I just got rid of all that. So I redid, the countertops, the flooring, the backsplash, had the cabinets repainted and replaced all of the handles for all the drawers and cabinets. So very excited about that. Took longer than I, would have liked, but wasn't in a big rush since I waited this long. These, supply chain issues is making it hard to get anything, So had to wait quite a while in between things happening, and I had them do the floor last. So very happy. It was more affordable because it wasn't like anything had to be like, demolished or anything. And I'm quite happy with it. The next thing, well, this is sort of related to the dating I said I wasn't going to talk about in a if you stretch it a little bit, but I really have this obsession with one game. It's not Candy Crush or any of the ones that are even more recent than that. It's this game called Spades Plus. And, you can I do it on my iPad. You can do it on your phone, whatever. And it's been around for a while. I discovered the game in 2016 when my husband was still here. And maybe like, I don't know, 5-6 months after we got married, one day we were just, I don't know, one of us found it. And I've just been obsessed with it ever since. I play it almost every day. And I'm so bored that I actually spend more hours playing it than is probably healthy, but probably healthier than being on social media. So who knows? But people have been treating that junk like it's a dating site, okay? I have a picture of myself on Facebook. I actually just changed it temporarily for the holiday, but the main picture that I keep, whenever I upload a new picture, I make it temporary, and then the main picture comes back, the default. So my default or main picture on Facebook, my profile picture, is a picture that it was a selfie that I took in the car on my birthday 2 years ago. I did my makeup and stuff. It's not a super close-up selfie, but, I'm not smiling in the picture, but I am made up, and I made up myself. I'm not a good makeup artist, but I did okay that day on my birthday. I did all right. And that picture, like I said, has been used as my default for a while. Well, whenever I don't have another temporary picture covering that up, that picture, whatever's on Facebook is pulled into Spades Plus. People can see your name or whatever, but it's just crazy. Like, people are trying to always talk to me, like multiple men. And some of these are definitely bots. I caught somebody trying to catfish me, trying to get me to do Google chats with him and stuff. I downloaded the picture that he was using, or he or she, I don't even know, was using on, the Spades Plus game site, because you can message people there and you can't block them until after they've messaged you, I guess. But anyway, this person had a completely different name, did a, Google reverse lookup, and he had a black guy, had a completely different name, supposedly in the UK, not America, not in the state that this person said that they was in or whatever. Nah, man. And that just goes to show you that's not even a dating app. And I know that I don't want to deal with that. Anyway, moving on. On my other podcast, Come On Son, with my sister, one of the things we talked about in May, I think the only show we did in May, we talked about streaming wars. We talked about the whole thing with Netflix and, when they announced that, they were going to lose all these subscribers and that their, rate was going up to almost $16 and all this here. And so in May, of course, a lot of shows on regular network TV ended, as they usually do. And I decided to sign up for BET Plus. because I need to watch some stuff this summer when I'm not traveling on these trips that I'm going to mention in a few minutes. I need to be, catching up on the culture. So I'm linking to the Streaming Wars episode on Come On Son, so you can listen to us talk about that. And I'm also currently binging a new season of People Magazine Investigates on the ID channel. I have Discovery Plus, so I can watch it without commercials, but it's on ID. And People Magazine, of course, is a true crime show. It's been a hiatus for about 3 years. And they've already, as I record this, they've already got 6 episodes posted. So I'm like, I'm glad it's back, but, I have had to kind of push back from watching so much true crime. Like last year and 2020 and 2019, I was watching so much, really, I would say from 2017 to 2020 is when I was watching the most true crime shows. Like I would watch hours and hours and hours of Dateline type shows. And I just can't keep putting that into my system. So trying to diversify a little bit with the whole BET Plus stuff, even though there's some questionable things there too, I guess. But on Netflix, I have been enjoying that. I watched that Kanye West documentary that came out a few months ago, Genius. Very, very good. No matter what you think about Kanye, it's so inspirational to watch. It's like 3 parts, and I think each part is an hour and a half. I was also binging Lincoln Lawyer, and then there's like a throwback series from NBC. I think it's called Good Girls. It has Retta and some other people in it that, ended a couple years ago, and I'm just now getting around to it. So anyway, that's what I've been watching on TV. Moving on to like physically, like I am still teaching kickboxing at the Y once a week, but I have completely fallen off with exercise in other areas. I used to do like at least 4 days a week minimum. Now it's just my class. Like, that's a damn shame. But you would think that I would have gained a lot of weight. I've actually lost weight since the last time I did an update. And I actually, even though I typically eat carnivore, I have fallen off with that too. The last couple of months been eating, things that have carbs in them, bread and, muffins and cookies and things like that. And shockingly, I have still not gained any weight. I just cannot, not even like 0.3 of a pound. Like, it's really, really like weird that this has happened, because I'm the kind of person that when I eat carbs and I keep up with it, it's going to show up it's going to show up in my face, and my butt's going to explode and everything else. It's just like, the weight just is like a magnet when I eat those carbs. So one of the things that I was thinking about along with the exercise, I have mentioned this before from time to time, but, back in the day when I was overweight, I used to not exercise at all. And my whole excuse was like, I want to keep my hair nice. I have relaxed hair. I'm black. I ain't trying to mess my hair up and sweat it out. And I chose having pretty hair over my health. Now, I know I'm not the only one that's done that, but I can say that's not really what this is. But I'm thinking about whether or not I want to, I don't know if I want to go back to being natural, because my hair is so rough to deal with at when it gets to a certain length. But right now, my hair is braided. I had my mom braid my hair, and it's just about time for me to go get another relaxer. And I don't really think I want to do that. I don't know. I'm experimenting with wigs and, other kinds of head wraps and things like that. So even though it's summertime and you don't really want a lot on your head in the summer when it's hot, just some things that I'm exploring. So anyway, that is it for the personal stuff that I wanted to catch you up on. Now let's talk about a few things with these trips. All right. So the first trip I took this quarter was to NOLA, New Orleans. And that was to go see this comedian named Whitney Cummings. She was there towards the middle of the month. It was maybe a week before the U.S. decided that we don't have to wear masks in airports or on airplanes anymore. So around that time. My second trip this quarter, actually, I had 2 trips in June. One was to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Is my very first time going to Wisconsin. I went to NOLA in April, but that was my second time going there. My first time going with somebody was with my sister. So Milwaukee, we also ended up going there. And I was hoping that there would be a Laverne and Shirley museum, but sadly, there is none. But it's still a nice place. We stayed in this hotel downtown, very nice area, very clean and clear. We didn't see any homeless people. It wasn't dirty. Matter of fact, we don't even know where the people was at. Like, where was everybody? I felt like I was back in 2020 when everybody's streets were clear in every city because everybody was at home. Like, that's almost how it felt. So if you're from Milwaukee and you know why the downtown was so clear and easy to navigate, holla at me. Go ahead and leave a comment or at me, Doree Allen, on social media. And then a week ago, which was still June, we went to Rhode Island and Connecticut, which, are right next to each other, flew into Providence, and then went over to Connecticut where the Foxwoods Casino is. Trevor Noah was performing there that weekend. And we went on that Saturday, which was the day after the Supreme Court ruled that abortion is basically been overturned. They overturned Roe. So he talked about that, but he talked about a lot of other stuff, and it was very entertaining. And I just find Trevor Noah to be a very common sense, but still funny and practical person. So it had a calming, I was laughing my behind off, but it also had a very calming effect. So if you want to go see him, he's going all over the world. It's called the Back to Abnormal tour, not back to normal, back to abnormal. And I don't have any pictures or anything from that because my carrier just tried me for the last time. I actually had no signal for a long time that day. So I actually left my phone in the vehicle on purpose, went into the theater. I was with my whole family, pretty much. My parents, my brother, and my sister. My daughter decided to stay home. So she's turning 19 this month. But that was her first time being in the house by herself for 2 days. And she's been alone in her dorm before, but that's completely different. She's on the 10th floor. Nobody can get in there without a key card. You know what I mean? It's completely different. But I'm glad everything worked out with her. And it was a fun experience. I love being in Dunkin' Land. New England is the land of Dunkin' Donuts. So I knew I wasn't going to have to worry about finding my favorite donut and my favorite iced coffee there. Because everywhere you look in New England, there's a Dunkin'. And on the Come On Son podcast, we have a whole episode fairly early on, probably season 1, fairly early on, we had a 45-minute conversation about why we love Dunkin' and what they need to do to keep themselves straight. So anyway, that happened. That was cool. And next, I want to talk about my upcoming trips, which is going to be Toronto this month toward the end of July, going to New York State in August because my cousin's getting married. And then I'm going to Cleveland for the Content Marketing World Conference in September, since I am a content writer. And then I'm going for my birthday, which is the whole week of Thanksgiving. I'm going to be in Colombia. We're going to start in Cartagena, and then we're going to end in Medellin. So yeah, I'm going to be going places. And I'm also in November going to be doing a race. I'm now down to one race a year. I'm going to be at the Outer Banks in North Carolina doing an 8K there, which is 5 miles. But to wrap things up, I'll say this about what I've been thinking about for the last day or two, which is that, actually not the last day or two, the last week or two, which is, with all these, Supreme Court rulings and, especially about the gun control and Roe v. Wade, I'm just I'm kind of fed up. I'm fed up with the way that we're treated in this country and the decisions that are being made that really ain't nobody's business but your own, honestly, cops killing my brothers, that are unarmed and just minding their own business and everything else in between. I'm really, really sick of it. However, the job contract that I'm in right now with CBS, it does not allow me to go overseas. I mean, I can go overseas. I just can't work for them overseas. I cannot bring their MacBook overseas to do work or for any other reason. So I am thinking about, going overseas for a period of time. I don't know if I'm going to necessarily become an expat per se, but definitely want to explore working and some other countries and seeing if there's any place that I would like to live that I could go there, maybe either on a tourist visa or a digital nomad visa. I'm not sure about the work visa thing because those typically you had to be sponsored by a company. And I have worked for many companies that are international, but I've always worked in the US. So I don't know how difficult that would be to get sponsored. But that is something that I've been thinking about. And I actually spent like pretty much all day, like 8 hours, like watching YouTube and researching websites about, what the rules are, because they change all the time. If you listen to a podcast or read a blog from 2020 or 2021 even, things could have changed already when it comes to these visas abroad. So that's what I'm thinking about doing is, of course, first visiting and then deciding if I want to like actually stay for an extended period of time at any of these places. And for me, an extended period is a month or more because, I guess you could do a vacation for a whole month. I ain't got that kind of coin, I don't think. But some of these places are way cheaper to live than America. And I have a nice chunk of change. Thank you, voiceover, in the bank if I didn't have a job. So we're going to see how that goes. Maybe I'll give you another update about that decision when I do my quarterly update after the summer ends. I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. Have a wonderful 4th or whatever other holidays and birthdays and events that you celebrate. In the meantime, if you miss hearing my voice, go and check out Come On Son podcast. Thank you for kicking it with me today on the Kicking It with Doree podcast.